And we are recording. And hello, everyone, and welcome to the debut episode of the Jet Lagged and Loving It podcast. My name is David Pustansky, and I am joined by my partner in crime, Rachel Jayne. Say hello, Rachel.
Hello.
Hello. So, if you are not initiated in this, or perhaps this is how you come to find it, we've been doing a travel vlog series, which we call Jet Lagged and Loving It. And whilst it's still ongoing, we'll have new episodes out there even at the time of recording. So if you're listening into this into the future, this won't be quite so relevant. We're doing this because there's like a bit of a lockdown going on at the moment with the whole COVID-19 malarkey going on in the world. So if you are watching us on the video version of this, if we decide to put the video version out there, you'll notice that we've got some funky backgrounds behind us. Rachel, where are you right now?
I'm currently laying in the sun on a beach in Australia.
Amazing. What beach is that?
It's on Fitzroy Island, which is just off Cairns. There's a turtle rehabilitation centre on the island, and then you can go walk over the island, go snorkeling, see turtles in the sea, and that type of thing.
Oh, sounds amazing. Behind me, you're going to have to help me with this, is Tokyo, Japan. And it's pointed, we took this photo pointing out of like our hotel room as it was going to a sunset. And it was just like this incredible red sky. Do you know specifically if there's like mountains in the background, what we're looking at there?
It's the mountains that are to the west of Tokyo.
Yeah.
I don't think it was Mount Fuji. I think that was the other direction from what I remember, because I can't remember much.
So, so I was going to say, for this being our debut episode, we're not going to assume that everyone's seen our travel vlog series, although you should definitely go and subscribe at facebook.com/Extreme Improv or youtube.com/Extreme Improv to see the whole series. But let's recap some of the places we've been, and we'll see if we, on this first episode, as we're figuring it out, if we deep dive into any of the specific locations, but then we can just talk about some of our bucket list of places that we'd like to go once the world comes back to normal. We can speak about some favorite thoughts or differences we notice between the countries. So I think that's a good place to start. Let's go through the list of places that we've been to together, because that way you'll know that in the future we'll be able to deep dive into these. We can then go through the couple of places I've been without Rachel, and then we can spend the next 3 hours going through everywhere Rachel has been where I haven't been. But together, shall we attempt this in order, darling?
Yeah, I think we can do it in order.
Yeah, and we can throw in a couple of thoughts along the way. The first place we went, because I can be honest, I was quite nervous of traveling in the sky. I still am, to be honest. But Rachel thought that we should take like an easy, gentle first trip. Isn't that right?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think I actually asked you much about where we should go to start with. I think I just decided that this would be a good place to start and book the flights, and you said okay. And
that was to Dublin in Ireland, wasn't it?
It was a long weekend in sort of February time, I think.
It was. It was it like, February, because it was just after Valentine's Day, I believe.
Yeah, it was also February half term, so
February half term. Yeah. We're not school children, for those who wonder why that's relevant. But of course I do, because I'm an actor, I do teach drama as well. And so that's the best time for us to go. After Dublin, we found ourselves jetting off to Lisbon. Is that correct?
Yes, that's another place that I don't think you actually knew where it was until we got there.
I still don't particularly know where it is. It's just kind of Spain to me.
Yeah, I think you said you wanted to go to Spain, but I've been to Spain quite a lot of times, and I've never been to Portugal. So,
okay, so we can get into the specifics, but as well as Lisbon, we went to another town, at least one more town or city or something, didn't we?
Yeah, Sintra.
Sintra also. So we've got that we'll be able to speak about. And no, sorry, I said we'll get into places that we'd been to individually because I suddenly realised I'd skipped over an adventure of mine, but we'll come back to that. But the next place we went to, was it actually Japan?
I think so. Yeah, I can't think of anywhere in between.
So yeah, so that was June after May. You may have been somewhere in between, but
I think I
we
was
went
about five,
to,
17, but
we flew into Tokyo, then we went to Kyoto, and then Hakone. Am I saying that correct?
yeah, so we got the bullet train over from Tokyo to Kyoto, spent a few days around there, then got the bullet train back to Tokyo, and then from Tokyo we did Hakone as a day trip, and that's where we saw Mount Fuji.
We did see Mount Fuji. Okay, and then let's rattle through these. The next place I think we went to was Paris.
Yeah, Paris.
Followed by California for a massive road trip.
You're going to involve Bournemouth in there?
Hell yeah, of course I am.
Yeah, Bournemouth count.
Yeah, Bournemouth should count. We've got an episode on the YouTube vlog series of Bournemouth. So yeah, Bournemouth in the United Kingdom. And the reason why that might sound... Sorry, what?
Bournemouth on one of the rainiest days of the whole year.
Rainiest day, British weather, typical. But the reason why it is, you're completely right, Rach, it is very relevant to still mention places like Bournemouth, just because, it's a worldwide podcast, worldwide vlog series. So there are going to be people who might be in Tokyo who's like, oh, I'm in Tokyo. I'm always in Tokyo because I was born in Tokyo. And coming to Bournemouth would be their big adventure, just like going to Tokyo was a big adventure for us.
Yeah, I like Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth. So then that brought us to our California road trip. What were the big towns or cities that we went to in California?
So we started off in Monterey, and then drove down Big Sur, which is the road next to the coast, where you got scared because we were driving along a cliff.
Terrifying.
Then we went to San Francisco, saw the Golden Gate Bridge, where you got scared because you got scared walking across the bridge.
Yep.
And then we went to Yosemite National Park and Lake Tahoe, and you got scared because a bear almost ate us.
Okay, so I'm noticing a running theme there of you're saying that I get scared of things.
So we did see it in Yosemite, which was amazing.
Yeah. Well, we literally saw a little bear, which was incredible. After our California, and also you forgot we stopped in San Andreas, which I was very excited about. And I was scared because it's the San Andreas fault. So if there was going to be a catastrophic earthquake, that would have been the epicenter. After California, where did we go?
Is that going to be Christmas?
Yeah, I think it is actually. So that would be, we went to Germany. We started in Cologne.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just lost a little bit of audio signal on you there. So I'm just going to vamp for a moment just to see if you come back. Otherwise, I'm going to give a little twirl so that this be known that this may be an edit point. Okay. So I'm going to... Okay, are you back, Rach?
Yeah, I think it's okay now.
Okay, perfect. So I might even leave that in, a little bit of finger twirl action. But we went.
I think you did that. I think you did it deliberately because you couldn't remember the name of the place we went to after Cologne.
What was it? Aachen.
Aachen. Yeah,
it was Aachen. I do remember Aachen because it's a little bit like Arkham Asylum, where Batman puts the Joker.
Okay.
And they have a prop. So if you're just listening to this version, you won't quite understand what the visual gag was, or you wouldn't see Rachel's reaction to it. Okay, but then after Aachen, we went to Belgium.
Yeah.
And we were in Brussels just for one night, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we had most of the day before and the day after that. So I think we still managed to eat about 10 waffles each. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah, so many waffles. The Belgian waffles, if you've never had them. We'll get onto favourite foods and things And then we're like, when we deep dive into each of these places, then we'll be able to talk about the finer foods and finer details of each place. So okay, after Christmas in Cologne and Belgium, the next place we went to was at the beginning of last year. We went to Florida. And so at the start of last year, we went to Florida and we
Yeah,
went to Miami. And where else did we go?
so we started off in Miami, then we went to the Everglades, then down to the Keys, and then up to like Orlando and all the theme parks on there.
Yeah, and that was great. And then a few weeks later, we jet lagged ourselves by being in America for 10 or 12 days. Then we came back to England. Then about a week or two later, we went back to America to go to Seattle. Well, basically Washington. I always myself kind of forget how much of a road trip this one was. I always think we were in Seattle, but we did more than that, didn't we?
Yeah, and also it was like a month in between the two. It wasn't just a
Was it?
week.
I thought we were, like both in the same month.
No, we were in Florida at the beginning of March, and we went to Seattle at the end of April.
Oh.
So it was at least a month, but it's still pretty close.
How little I remember.
No, it was still quite close to have two different America trips.
Yeah. And so where did we go to in Washington?
Well, yeah, we started in Seattle, and then we did the road trip around, went up to the Olympic Mountains, not Olympus,
Yep, that's right.
Olympic Mountains, yeah. And then Mount St. Helens, and saw Mount Rainier and all of that. And then we flew up to Alaska and had sort of 5 days in Alaska.
In Juneau.
Saw whales and killer whales.
Yeah. Now, when we were in Alaska, we went to Juneau, but I don't think we didn't go to any other places, did we?
No, because I don't think Juneau has a road to any other places. So that kind of limits the number of day trips you can do from that place, really.
Yeah.
There's a few mountains in the way.
Yes. Now, next up, I think it's actually like skipping forward quite a lot, but the next place we went together was Poland, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the next one.
And so I always forget. So where were we? We were in Krakow or Krakow. I forget
Yeah.
Okay, and what was we went to some other place where we saw like a mountain with like the sleeping man or something, the sleeping warrior mountain. Where was that?
That was a place called Zakopane, which
Zakopane.
is on the south of Poland, on the Slovakia border in the mountains. So in the high Tatra mountains. So we were in Poland, but we could like see where the border with Slovakia was.
Yeah. Okay, and then after that we went. I think. Okay, hang on. So along the way, I think we've actually skipped that we went to Hastings and we went to Brighton. So Hastings has definitely got to count.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll count. We counted Bournemouth, so yeah, we should count.
I have footage which I haven't edited yet, which can be a Hastings vlog. So that one definitely has to count.
Is there a Nottingham vlog as well?
I don't know, to be honest. How much did we film there?
We went to a Westlife concert there.
I didn't film that.
Yes, you did. You filmed huge runs of Westlife.
Yeah. What's your favourite Westlife song?
Flying Without Wings.
Do you know what? Like, I honestly can't remember a single one right now, and that's really bad, isn't it?
It is, because I made you listen to the Westlife CD in the car the entire way there and back.
Uptown Girl, did they sing that, or am I thinking of someone else?
Yeah, they do a cover of that, yeah.
Okay. So this is the official Westlife podcast.
Westlife.
Okay. Yeah, but okay, we can talk about the things we saw and did in these places. So that's fine. Okay, so after Poland, then it was
Vienna,
of course, Austria.
Yeah.
And did we go anywhere else in Austria?
Well, yeah, we went to a different country for the day.
No, but I meant in Austria.
In Austria. No, we just went to Vienna, but our day trip was to a different country, which was
Slovakia.
Correct.
And I might have a photo of Slovakia behind me. I can't honestly remember. I think this was Slovakia.
Yeah, I think that was when we were like walking towards from the train station towards the old town.
Well, so I've just got a picture of a random building.
Yeah, that wasn't a very significant one.
Oh well, I did my best. Okay, and then and that's brought us up to date. Now, I'm going to start on me here just to recap other places that I have been. And then I'm going to go make a sandwich whilst Rachel tells you the rest of the places she's been. No, I'm not going anywhere. So before I met Rachel, I'd barely done any travel in my life. Like it was even a thing with me where I've like not been anywhere. I'd find it like embarrassing where people would say, oh, I've been to this country and this country, and I hadn't been anywhere. But when I can't even remember how old I was. When I was at university, there was a trip to New York City, and literally when I booked that trip to New York City, I thought I had chosen like the day I was going to die in a plane crash. I was that terrified of flying. And I thought this was amazing. It was truly like the most exciting thing I'd ever done. And it then took me 5 years before I did anything again. And I went back to America because this time with like a work opportunity, and I went to Los Angeles in California. And then roll forward, I think another 5 years, and I went to France, and I was doing like a play out there, and I started in Paris because that's where you come off the Eurostar, and then I went on to the place. But my stop in Paris was so short, I didn't even get to see the Eiffel Tower. Then that brings me up to when I met Rachel. That was my entire travel experience. But I had got the travel bug after France, and so when I met Rachel, I was like, I'm gonna do more stuff, and I'd just somewhat organized. Rachel helped me organize. Like 4 days before the event, that I went to Denmark for an improv festival, which I wasn't doing with Extreme Improv, but I mentioned the words Extreme Improv just to get the plug in there. But I was in Copenhagen. Then in the summer, after Rachel and I then went to Paris, I stayed on to do another play in France. So I was in a town called Mortain. I might be saying it wrong. Have I been anywhere else? Oh yeah, and then at the very start of this year, I went to Pisa, which the relevant thing to the timing of what's happening in the world is it's in North Italy, and and that's where. Sorry, I'm not meaning to laugh. It was just because I couldn't remember where Pisa was, but it was literally about 2 hours from where the big epicenter of the whole COVID-19 thing really affected people in Italy. And I was there 2 days before the first confirmed case there. So that was the last time I jet lagged anywhere. So now that's me done. Rach, where had you been before you'd met me? You don't necessarily have to go in order if you can't remember.
I mean, like Spain, France, Switzerland, Austria, those kind of places would be like the slightly earlier trips. Italy, quite a few times. Bulgaria. I don't remember. We did a month-long trip through the USA.
And which states did you go to?
So I went to New York, Washington, D.C., Colorado, and like the Rocky Mountains, then got a 36-hour train journey from Denver through the mountains to San Francisco. Spent some time in San Francisco, then got the train down the coast, stopping at Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, and San Diego.
Wow, incredible. And that was 1 month?
Yeah, I think it was just over a month. But yeah, the entire thing done by train rather than driving anywhere. Because why not? I like trains.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
America isn't that good at trains, though, to be honest. But
controversial.
I
know. Okay, so any other significant places to throw in there that you'd been pre-David?
Netherlands, Belgium. I mean, like, lots, Czech Republic, Hungary,
I am quite hungry.
Denmark,
Denmark, yeah.
Sweden. Yeah, lots of places like that.
Lots and
I
lots of
mean, to
places.
be honest, mostly Europe and USA.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's the point. So, when we went to Japan, that was like you were ticking something off your bucket list of to do something outside of America or Europe, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah. I really wanted to go somewhere in sort of Asia or somewhere a bit different. But so that was cool.
Well, I think it's fair to say that you've done a little bit more than that now. So, okay, so let's try and so just like I threaded in my Denmark and extra bits in France around the rest of our trips. Since we've met, you've been to a few other places. You've where have you been? Have you been back to Spain?
Yeah, I went to Spain to like Seville and Granada, kind of Andalusia mountains region. Spent a week in Iceland, which is very cool. I
Well, since
definitely
you met
recommend
me,
Iceland. Yeah, obviously you remember this well. I just disappeared for a week and went to Iceland, and I'm pretty
you
sure I
went to
did tell you.
Iceland.
I'm sure I told you I went to Iceland.
When did you go to Iceland?
July, so like between Japan and
Oh, in
I'm sure that was when.
2018.
I
That was
think so.
Iceland. I completely forgot that.
There's a photo in my flat of me riding a horse in Iceland, which you look at every time you come around here, and obviously I've just never registered that that's a thing.
Wow, I'd forgot. I thought you'd been to Iceland, but I forgot that that was during the time that we'd known each other. Okay, so
Well, you're making
anywhere
me
else?
laugh now. Um, I don't know. I don't think there's been a huge number of other places.
You've been to Romania.
Oh yeah, you're right, Romania. Yeah.
Have you been to Scotland?
Yes. Yeah. So you do remember these things.
Well, I'm trying my best, but I'd completely forgot Iceland. Okay, and then last year you did a big amount of travel. Deep breath. What
Yeah.
places did you do when you had your I think it's we can make this an edit point, but you affectionately call it your gap year.
The gap. Well, I mean, gap 6 months because I
Yeah.
can quite afford to
But
go away for a year, and
did all the
David
kinds
wouldn't
of
have let me go
travel.
away for a year.
Yeah, you did all of the kind of
Yeah.
you hit all of the places that you're supposed to in a gap year, including
Including. So started off in Malaysia, went to Kuala Lumpur, then spent a couple of weeks in the Borneo rainforest, volunteering with orangutans and generally. Oh, I've got a picture of an orangutan actually.
yeah, find it. I just changed my background because I realised it was that boring place in Slovakia for far too long.
Where are you now?
I'm in Alaska at the moment. So if you're watching the video version, you'll see an orangutan just popped up over Rachel's right shoulder.
Yeah, so that's one of
Is it
the ones.
eating something?
Yeah, it's eating fruit. But like
Okay.
hand over.
Yeah. Okay. So
It's one of the ones that is still in the wild in Borneo, so that's amazing.
yeah. Okay. So after Borneo,
Then I went to Bali. I got photos
still
from all
don't
these
know where
places.
that is.
It's in Indonesia.
Okay.
It's like the little bits of islands between like
Is that where
mainland
you
Asia.
wouldn't you say about like barley that's like a spice or a herb or something? Is that where that comes from? What is barley?
Barley is like a corn kind of wheat.
There you go.
Barley.
And how's your one spelled?
Bali.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm not going to seem intelligent. Okay.
Uh,
I'll take
yeah, so
ownership of that. That's fine. I don't need to edit that.
I've never thought of the link between those two words, so it's interesting the way your brain works.
Okay, and where else?
Then Singapore, then Australia. So in Australia, started off in Cairns, then went to Darwin in Northern Territory, then to the centre to Uluru, Kings Canyon, and then down to Melbourne. Did some day trips along Great Ocean Road and Phillip Island to see penguins, which is very cute. Then to Sydney, where I went surfing. I haven't got a picture of surfing actually. I should need to get these organised.
Get these organised for future edition.
Yes. And then New Zealand. So
Yeah.
started off in North Island, went to Hobbiton, which I know you're very jealous of.
So jealous. So
Yeah,
jealous.
I
Do you have a
know.
picture of Hobbiton? Hobbiton?
We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. She's looking for it. Oh my God! There we go. You can literally see the round doors of
Yeah,
like the
little
Hobbit
Hobbit
hole.
there.
Yeah. What is that in front of the doors? Is it like a big sack, like a big bag?
We're there.
Yeah, like a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, because they're like hobbits are quite into gardening, aren't they? So
They are. Well, there's not much else to do in the Shire. Okay.
there's caves with glowworms next to near the Shire. So
Yeah. Okay. After that, was there anywhere else in New Zealand, or are we moving on to the next country?
I went to North Island and South Island. And in South Island, that's where like rode horses, and where they filmed Isengard from the Lord of the Rings.
Oh,
So I was
amazing.
like with Aragorn riding my horse through Isengard.
Yeah.
Then we went paragliding as well, which I don't have a photo of. I really need that photo.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll just throw in a little anecdote here. Rachel has done some very scary things, which I would never do in a million years, including jumping off of things and hoping that, like being strapped to like a pilot, like a man with a parachute or something, is going to save her. You also jumped off. What was that tower you jumped off of? Or climbed down?
Spinning a tower, upside down it. So you kind
Abseiled
of have
down
to
a
jump.
tower.
Yeah, that was good. That was kind of terrifyingly awful at the time. But afterwards, I could be like, oh yeah, that's good fun.
And we'll get more into this in a future episode. But like when Rachel was doing some of these things, and she was just like, "So, sorry, I couldn't message. I was in a helicopter and stuff like this," and I was like panicking.
Yeah,
Terrifying.
yeah, there are several things that I only told
Rachel.
afterwards.
So there we can see Rachel strapped to a man.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I like sit like that, then it looks just me.
Two can play at that. So check this out.
Is this your photo when you got strapped to the man?
There you go. See that? Some seal action. Uh-oh, is my mouse frozen? Ah.
No, do the sea lions.
So there's sea lions, not seals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, on that photo, that's your legs that we can see, isn't it?
Yeah. Who else is
his legs? Was he a man without legs?
Yeah.
You shouldn't pilot something if you're legless, darling. Okay, don't drink and fly. Okay, so after New Zealand and Australia, where was your next adventures?
Hong Kong on the way back.
Oh yeah. Did you have one of those kind of things on the way out there? Or was that Singapore?
Singapore was on the way out. Okay. I think I mentioned Singapore.
Oh my God, I forgot. We've been to Canada.
We have not been to Canada.
We have been to Canada. So before we had our Californian road trip, we had a stopover, a layover. What's it the right term? In Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So yeah, we've been to Canada, and I loved it there. You know,
we spent 3 hours in an airport,
and it charged me so much because it wasn't on my phone. My phone internet did not count in Canada, so I got like a £60, not fine, but they charged me £60 for checking Facebook, which was horrendous.
Well, why you don't need to check Facebook on an airport transfer?
Well, okay. So where else did you go after Hong Kong?
Then it was Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand.
Amazing.
So, all down Vietnam, starting at the top, going down the coast.
Yeah.
The Cambodia, Angkor Wat. I did teach English at school there, which was terrifying and awful because I had lots of children just shouting at me for several weeks, so that was terrifying.
Yeah.
And then I went to Thailand, went to Bangkok, and then went down to Phuket,
Phuket.
Had some lovely beaches and met some elephants, so it was nice.
Amazing. Do you have a photo of an elephant?
I think I've got a photo of elephants I saw in the wild in Borneo. I don't know if I've got another photo of like
Well,
staying with elephants.
don't worry. Like I think the listeners know what an elephant looks like. If you can find it, great. But if not, there you go. There's an elephant. It looks like it's
although these are pygmy elephants, whereas the elephants I met in Thailand were Asian elephants, so they're a different type. But
Are they which ones have the larger ears? Are they the Asian elephants or the African elephants?
They're African elephants.
African elephants have the big ears.
And Thailand is not in Africa.
No, I know this. I'm okay. And are we up to date now?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Then we went to Vienna and Slovakia, and then I've had to be successful and have a job, and now we're trapped here. And
we are trapped here, but I think this is a good thing to get onto our bucket list. Like I think we should like take turns to say, and we can say if we agree, and they're both on our bucket lists. But I think you've done a lot of talking, so I won't say ladies first, and I'll go first to throw one in there. Because I was going to say it's one that we've just kind of spoken about, and it is one that we have got planned in the pipeline to go properly this time, to go back to Canada, because we have already been at Canada, and that isn't disputable. But it would be nice to go to Canada several more times. So here we can now see behind me a plane. It's not flying to Canada though. Or it might be, I can't remember. But yeah, I would like us to go to Canada. I'd love to, we spoke about going to Toronto. I'd love to go to lots of places in Canada, Montreal, and I'd love to go back to Alberta, lots of places, Edmonton, loads and loads of places. I like, it's different culture obviously than America, but it's similar. It's going to be closer to America than like when we were in Lisbon, and I do like that kind of environment, vibe, lifestyle. Okay, how about you, Rach?
Canada was super high. I've just switched. I'm in Alaska at the moment, but that was fairly close to Canada.
It was.
So I really want to go to the west.
Okay, so Alaska actually used to be Canada at one point, didn't it?
Yeah, I think they fought over it quite a few times.
Yeah. Okay, we don't. I don't know the full history. It is some story that Canada or Russia sold Alaska for like $5 a kilometer or something like this, something insane, like $2 million, and America bought Alaska.
Yeah, there was someone said that kind of story. I don't know how.
Okay, but okay, we're in agreement on Canada. What's the place you're going to add to the bucket list?
I'd like to go to Russia.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Any particular parts?
I mean, Moscow and St. Petersburg are sort of the classic. But I would really like to do the Trans-Siberian Railway across and then through Mongolia into China.
Sorry, what was that? 3 months?
What?
What did you say?
The Trans-Siberian Railway.
Yeah.
Which goes across Russia through Mongolia into China. It's definitely.
I think through Mongolia. I think I had through 3 months. I was like 3 months. I would not do that for 3 months on a train.
Yeah, but that's a bit long on a train for me.
Yeah. And so
it takes over a week though, definitely. So.
That sounds good. I think that sounds super exciting. I always like films or stories set on trains. I think it's a great, like Murder on the Orient Express. The classic story. I think there's something exciting about being on a train for an extended period where you're just around the same people, and you can start to, even if it's just in your mind's eye, imagine all kinds of stories about them.
The long trains journeys are really good.
Okay, so I'm gonna add in one to the wish list. I'm gonna say Mexico. I'd like to go to Mexico.
Okay.
I don't know that it's like the next thing. I'm just looking at my map because I can't remember the names of any countries. But Mexico would be cool to go to. I like some Lucha Libre. Uh, Thought I had like a prop to add to that thought, but I don't. But yeah, so like Mexican, like in that Hispanic sort of vibe. But again, most of my knowledge comes from films, so I've seen a fair amount of Mexican things over the years, and it looks cool there.
Yeah, I don't actually know a huge amount about Mexico, to be honest.
Okay, I thought you'd frozen, but you were changing your backdrop.
Yeah, I decided I wanted to go back to Australia. So.
Yeah. Okay, so like Mexican food though, that's like a big famous worldwide thing.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. I'd like to go to Mexico City, Mexico.
And there's the like what Chichen. Oh, I can never say this word because I've never actually heard it said out loud. But like, it looks like a pyramid, but it's not a pyramid. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world at the moment.
Is it? It's still one of the 7 wonders of the world.
Well, it might have. They change every so often, but
let's find out the name of it. 7 wonders of the world. Okay, I'm just going to look this up so we have this factoid. Okay, so I think this is Wonders of the World. This is the ancient world because it says the Great Pyramid of Giza. 7 new wonders of the world. Okay, and is it the Chichen Itza?
Yeah, Chichen Itza. I don't know if that's how you say it though.
Yeah, no way of telling. I could look up my phonetics to get it, but okay, and let's have a look. It was a large pre-Columbian city built by the Maya people. In what period? Where is this? It's in the Yucatan in Mexico. So check out the Jet Lags and Loving It podcast where I butcher the name and pronunciation of everything. But when you said that you didn't know, it felt like it had a lot more dignity to my struggling through the words.
Yeah, I feel like that one might need a bit more research before we go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, where's your next place on the bucket list?
I want to do a safari in Africa. Maybe like Kenya, Tanzania. Maybe.
Now, just to clarify, because in case people listening have like a particular idea, safari doesn't mean hunting, does it?
No, it means.
No, I'm not questioning that. I know you're not going to go hunting, Rachel. I'm just saying that like safari, what does that mean? It just means like going out in one of these trucks and viewing animals.
Yeah, and you go and take photos of lions and try and see as many animals as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be like the video game Pokemon Snap, where you just go and take photos of Pokemon. Anyway, so yeah, I would love to. Where exactly is that? Which country?
Well, I mean, you can do it all over Africa. Kenya and Tanzania, they've got like Masai Mara and Serengeti national parks, which are quite famous. But also Namibia and South Africa, Botswana, they've got quite a few good ones.
Okay, perfect. I agree. I'd like to go there. I always worry that like if you go on like an organized trip, like you've said to me about before, it would make it safer. But I always worry when you go to places, especially if you think that there's going to be actual lions and like very, very dangerous predatory animals out there, that I don't know how much risk you're actually taking. And the same, just like there might be giant snakes and you might get like, even you went to Australia and there was you hear about the black widow spider. It is the black widow, isn't it? Or the redback. What is it? What's the really poisonous one? Redback spiders. Yeah, redback, not black widow. Okay, but that's going to bring me to my next pick of my bucket list, which would be Australia. Now, some of us may have already been to Australia, but I have not. And I would like to go to the set of Home and Away and Neighbours, because that is what you need to go to these places for. I want to go to Ramsay Street, and I want to go to like the place where I think you did go to a place where they filmed Crocodile Dundee, didn't you?
Well, I saw crocodiles.
No.
If that's what you mean.
No, I don't mean that. Like, you told me that there was a place you've forgotten, because obviously this stands out more to me than to you. You went to one of the places where it's like, oh, they filmed some of Crocodile Dundee here. I swear on my life, I'm not making this up.
I went to a place where I was able to film crocodiles, so yeah, probably.
Yeah. No, there was like a bar or something. And like I had this conversation with you in the middle of the night because it was your day, and you like told me about this place and Crocodile Dundee. No, okay.
Yeah, no, there was that place with like the ox, bison, cow thing.
Yes, something. Oh no, maybe that's what I'm thinking of. So there was a famous. There was a bull, not a bull, like a bison or a bullock or something like this in Crocodile Dundee, and it makes it sound like a sad story, but they'd still got like the stuffed animal like after it had died naturally, like on display at this place because I think it's where they had filmed it. But they'd looked after it till it was like an old age, and then this is somewhat accurate, isn't it?
It's quite boring, to be honest.
Well, okay, I'm fine. Okay, what's next on your bucket list? Let's do a couple more each.
I mean, I've half mentioned China just like at the end of the Russia trip, but I think China deserves its own mention.
Mhm.
I want to go to the Great Wall of China and to see pandas and go to Shanghai. That's high up there.
Absolutely. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen in the immediate future, just with like restrictions on everything across the world. But I definitely like we spoke about going to China last year.
Yeah, it's safer than the UK at the moment in terms of coronavirus.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well, exactly. So they're on the tail end of it. So if that started there December, January, February, March, give it a couple more months, and we'll be safe here, and then we can go to China or Wales. Wales sounds good as well. That's all I'm saying. I've never been to Wales. Have you? You've been to Wales, right?
yeah, I've been to Wales loads. It didn't really feature on my list of places I've been, but I've been
No,
to.
I've never been to Wales. I've never been to Scotland. I've only been to Dublin. If is that in the UK or is that Northern Ireland? I don't know. Um, oh God.
That was a slightly contentious topic to mix up Northern and Republic of Ireland.
Edit point? No, it's fine. I'll take ownership. I'm just not
Maybe.
very good at geography. Okay. Do I need to pick somewhere now? Okay. I'm going to count Australia and New Zealand as one thing, because otherwise I'm just treading over the same things that we have already talked about.
That's also a very contentious point to group them together as the same place. There's a lot
Oh
of rivalry
gosh,
between the two
I'm
countries.
just on a roll here, aren't I? Well, okay. So where haven't I been? I've never been to Spain. It kind of feels a bit like a underwhelming choice after some of the ones we've said, just because it's so close. But I've never been to Spain. I would like to go to Spain. Okay, so let me just tell like this slight thought behind that because I am so untraveled and like I think I'm doing better now, Rach, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've been to places even if my knowledge hasn't quite caught up with the places I've been to. But before I'd been to a lot of these places, to me, like outside the UK, you could go to America. That was a big place to go to. Japan. Oh, I definitely want to go back to Japan, but I won't say that on the list at the moment. And then to me, Europe was France, Germany, Spain, and Italy. After that, I didn't know anywhere in Europe. Like I'd heard of countries because of the Eurovision Song Contest, but I couldn't have told you any of the places.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. So would you want to go back to Spain?
I've never actually been to Madrid, which is the capital of Spain, for those of you who may not know.
Yeah.
David. I've been to Spain quite a few times. I've just never actually been to the capital, Madrid, so I'd happily go there.
Yeah, lovely. I'm just going to hover in Japan because I said about going back there. So behind me now,
Yeah.
if you're watching the video version, is the Golden Temple.
Ooh.
What's your next pitch? Pitch? Where would you like to pitch me to go to?
Was it Frozen?
Frozen? No, you're still going. Oh, you've changed the backdrop.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna change the background. I want to go underwater somewhere.
Underwater at the lost city of Atlantis.
That
Wow.
would do.
Rachel, you
Um,
completely beat my next one. Okay, go on then.
no, I mean, so when I was in Australia, I went scuba diving, and it was kind of slightly terrifying, but also amazing. So I want to go somewhere where you can scuba dive. So I've heard that Maldives and Seychelles have good diving.
And you've never been?
Or what?
Have you never been?
I've never been to the Maldives or Seychelles, no. So
Okay, so here's an
maybe one of
interesting thing. Here's an interesting thing, Rach. I read this today, so this is like an actual news story. Which, unless you listen to this very quickly, you're not going to probably easily find it. But on the news on BBC today, there is a couple who I think it might have been I can't remember if they were from South Africa or something, but they went to the Maldives for their honeymoon, and with the whole coronavirus thing going on, they realized that with the restrictions and like flights being cancelled and everything, that they would not be able to, because they'd have to go to something like Saudi Arabia to then get a connection, and because there was going to be things locked down there, they decided that we're not going to make it out in time. And I think like the Russian government or someone said that they could help. I might be making it up which government it was, with like a charter plane, but everyone there would have to pay for it, and it was like $100,000 equivalent. So with some people on the island not wanting to chip in, like the cost would have gone up and up. And so at this particular resort they're in the Maldives, they are the only two guests there, and they've been there for 2 weeks. And because of the way the government run things, whilst there are still guests there, the hotel or whatever the resort has to keep going. So they are the only two guests at this resort living in this paradise for as long as quarantine goes on. So that's what I know about the Maldives.
what a story.
What a story! Now that's a reference.
That
If
is
you
just
haven't
a
seen the
reference.
film, The Room, what a story! And for most of our relationship, because we've never actually watched The Room, but we watched The Disaster Artist. I will say something which I find interesting, and then Rachel will just quote the film The Room and just go, "What a story!" which just instantly tells me that obviously I didn't tell the most interesting story. So I apologise to both our listeners and to you, Rach. Okay, so you said the Maldives, and the last place I'm going to choose to beat your underwater adventure in Atlantis is I'm going to say Antarctica. Huh?
Mm.
So yeah, we went to Alaska, and like before we went to Alaska, I bought snow boots. They weren't snow boots; they were hiking boots. I bought like long johns and like a thermal underlay or whatever. None of these arrived before we had to leave for the flight, but I still bought them. But the point I'm getting at here is when we were in Alaska, I didn't feel that cold. So I think with how cold it's supposed to be in Alaska, that Antarctica, I could hack it. I could manage.
Yeah, we were very lucky with the weather in Alaska. That it was perfect sun, and it was like t-shirt weather at the top of the mountain in the snow.
I know.
So
It was
that was
t-shirt weather, and yet there was still snow there.
yeah.
So, what's your final pick on the bucket list?
Has to be somewhere in South America because I feel like South America has been neglected so far.
Yeah,
So I mean, Rio de Janeiro would be cool.
in Brazil.
I would like to go to the Amazon because I really love the rainforest in Borneo.
I
Even
love their
though I got
deliveries and Prime service. Badum. Sorry, you were
as
saying.
I was saying, yeah. So I love to do rainforest in Borneo, so it would be really cool to go to the Amazon and see the pink river dolphins as well there. But also like Machu Picchu and Patagonia. There's so many places in South America that I haven't been.
Wow. Okay, so we've run through a place of all the places we've been to. We've run through all of the places on our to-do list.
Not all of them. I think about 57 more.
I know, but yeah, okay. But okay, is there any like final things that do we want to choose just like to wrap this up for this episode, and then we'll deep dive into other places, into some of the places either that we have been, and we can come up with some like we can put our creative hats on and come up with some like fun things to find out. We could we could set ourselves a challenge. So we could perhaps decide now of one of these places to talk. I don't think we should do it in chronological order, but we should choose one of these places. And then when we next do a recording, I think we have to present each other with 5 interesting facts about that place that we can research. So we'll come up with some fun little things like this to do.
Yeah. And I'll come away from these with a list of homework to do.
Yeah, homework. Well, you already know all of the facts. It'll just be me having to look up things. You already know everything about every country. But okay, so do you have a favorite place that you've been to and a least favorite place? And you start by saying your favorite, then I'll say my favorite, then I'll say my least favorite, and then you can say your least favorite. Favorite
You
place?
know, I can't do favourites.
Oh,
Like, I'm
okay.
completely incapable of doing favourites because they're both so different. But no, I'll try. Australia as a favourite.
Because I wasn't there.
And I was with
Where's
the
that man you
turtle.
were strapped to again? Or was that New Zealand? Okay, so you've got the turtle behind you. I can 100% believe and agree that Australia would be a favourite place. For me, I think my favourite place is Japan, and marginally beating out Florida there, which and Japan is behind me too. But let's get my other Japan photo just for anyone watching, just because if we are starting to wrap this up, then let's end it with a sunset backdrop. But I loved everything about Japan. I loved how alien it was compared to here, but also you've got a cool sunset as well. Where's that
Okay.
sunset beach?
This one's actually in Florida, which is ironic because you just mentioned
Yeah.
Florida.
Okay. So they're probably my 2 favorite sunsets that we've ever seen. But yeah, I loved how alien everything was there, but also how the culture is so respectful. Everything was so clean. And it felt like a very nice place to be, very positive place. And yeah, I'd go back to Japan in a heartbeat. Okay, so shall I now pick my least favorite place?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to actually. There's been those places that you haven't liked actually.
Ouch. Okay, so I'll justify just so I don't offend anyone from these places for why I say it. So it's a toss up. It's a almost tie. I would say my least favorite place that we've been to is Aachen in Germany. Just because it was a small town which you wanted to go to because there was like a cathedral or something to see.
Yeah, and lovely Christmas markets.
Yeah, okay, but we'd been to Cologne and there was better cathedrals and better Christmas markets, so it felt like a downgrade. If we'd started in Aachen and then upgraded to Cologne, it may have felt differently. But to me, it just felt like a town in the UK and not like the biggest town. So to me, it was a little underwhelming in between Cologne and Brussels. But then the other place, because we only had a tiny stop there, that I'm going to choose controversially, is I went to Pisa earlier this year, and it was like the last place I went before this whole lockdown thing. And again, honestly, nothing but good wishes to everyone in Italy with the current situation there. But for the reason for me is that Pisa itself doesn't have lots and lots to go there. And I got myself there for like 3 full days or something like this, or 2 full days and 2 half days. And with the weather of January as it was not being the greatest as well, it warmed up massively on the last day, and then it was really good in the botanical gardens and other stuff like this. But I felt like I'd seen everything that I'd needed to in Pisa within about like 25 minutes. But then where was the other place I went to? Because I can't remember the name of it. Where did I go?
Okay, so backstory to this Pisa trip, it's probably the first holiday that you've actually planned entirely on your own, which
Yeah.
is why you ended up with 3 days in Pisa. And then I made you do a day trip to Florence because that's actually where, that's the good place to go, but you still would only go for a day. So.
And then I went to Florence to see the statue of David, and I went on a Monday, and museums are closed on a Monday.
Yeah, you did well.
But there was one other town I went to, and I can't remember the name of it. It was like the town that's
Luca.
got like, where is it?
Luca.
Lucca. Yeah, it's got like a town of 100 churches or something like that. Okay, so Rach, can you choose? But like, still, even with Ark and even with Pisa, there was still lots to like and enjoy. But when you're trying to choose a least favorite, do you have a least favorite? And tell me, how can it not be Arkan?
I mean, it's Arkham is just somewhere different. As long as I'm going somewhere different, then you can find beauty in anything, can't you? So in the cold, rainy cathedral, even you.
Oh.
Um, no, I liked Arkham. I really liked that trip. I don't know about. I mean, I'm trying to think. Teaching in Cambodia was terrifying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I didn't like it at all. It was just one of those things that I'm very glad I never have to go back and ever do again.
Okay, so how long were you teaching out there? Was it more than a week, or was it a week of teaching?
It felt like about a year. So we'll go for a year.
Yeah. Okay, so is that your pick, or is there another contender?
I mean, but I wouldn't even say that was like a not favourite, but it was an experience, and any all life experience is good experience.
Well, this is true, and actually, just in terms of when we went from that first trip to Dublin, and I started filming things, for me, like filming the vlogs, and this is something we can speak about in another episode, just about the actual vlogs, and like some of the experiences we've had with that. But filming the vlogs, when there were things that weren't quite as exciting or quite as good, or if something like bad happened, like nothing bad has ever happened, but if there was like something that's like funny or something went wrong or something like that, they became great material for the vlog. So, like you say, every like bad thing is an experience, and so yeah, everything tells our story, doesn't it, darling?
Yeah, everything that goes wrong makes a better story than everything that goes right.
I know, Pete, and it's a weird thing with people. People don't want just to get. You don't want just the ending where it's like happily ever after. You want the journey to get there.
Yeah, you want the stories about how awful the toilets were in Cambodia and Thailand, and the like yucky Asian sport toilets, and it was just
Yeah.
terrifying. Rather than the idyllic relaxing on beaches.
Yeah.
It's the
Wow.
pain that you have to get through. The 9 hour overly hot bus journey through the border of Cambodia as well. It's 9 hours on a bus with no air conditioning in 40-degree heat is painful after a
And
while.
how packed was the bus? How many people were on it?
I mean, like everyone had seats, so it wasn't a complete. I've been on buses in Italy, which have been a lot worse, where literally I don't know how they managed to fit that many people on, and if you wanted to get off, you didn't stand a chance because you couldn't move.
Wow.
So yeah, no, buses aren't my favourite mode of transport.
No. Um, and on that note, I think we'll begin to wrap things up here. Do you have
Yeah,
any
no, I feel
final
like you
thoughts?
should say something more interesting though after I've
Okay,
talked about
so
that.
the final thought. Okay, so let's just quickly rattle through let's just list what mode of transports have we been on. We've mentioned the bullet train. We've mentioned, so in Japan we did the full works. We did like cable cars and ropeways. We've been on like what were like the boat things when we went snorkeling? What kind of boat was that?
Oh, it's just a motor cruiser boat.
Like a motor cruiser boat. We've been on obviously buses in Japan. We've we've have we ever been on something with you had a picture earlier that I think was before we started where you were on a horse. You've been on the back of a man that
Yeah,
flew to the end. You've been on mopeds or something, again strapped to some guy.
I've been on
Um,
the front of that as well.
front of a man, of course.
I was on one of those in Vietnam, one of those cycle things where they like have a bike that has like a seat in the front.
What, like ET? You're in the basket of a bike?
Well, not a basket, like a little. pushchair at the front that they
Own home. Do you understand? Have you seen E.T., Rach?
Yeah, of course I have. Yeah.
Okay, wasn't sure if you'd get that reference. But so you know E.T.'s like on a little bike going in front of the moon.
Yeah, that type of thing.
Okay, so obviously we've been on planes, we've been on the Eurostar. Is there any weird, have we been on anything that's horse-drawn ourselves? Have I been on something with horses?
I don't think so. I've been on a motorbike. That was again with another random man.
Right, okay, and...
I went on the whale watching boat.
You went on
the whale watching boat in Alaska.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like I've got to have done something more interesting.
We went on the cable car in San Francisco, like the little tram thing.
Yeah, the trams, cable cars. Yeah, there's been a few. We never got like the Segway scootery things in Poland, but they were everywhere.
Yeah, we should do that sometime.
We should. And what other kind of thing? Bicycles. We've not even done like Boris bikes in London.
No, that always looks a bit scary, but I probably can't say that given I'm fine with getting on motorbikes and parachutes.
Well,
is a parachute like a transport?
Definitely. Like you'd regret if you didn't have it. So that should count. Okay, I think this is a good point where we'll wrap this up. So this has been the first time we've attempted this, and I want to thank everyone for watching it. Or if you haven't watched it, then this has been a fun chat between me and Rachel, and a good experiment to learn from for when we do this again. And then once we've got it all figured out, you'll come back and watch this first one. You'll enjoy that we were playing with the funny virtual backdrops, and if you haven't seen them, do check out the Jet Lagged and Loving It travel vlog series. But this episode will be available, if not instantly. It will certainly be available on YouTube and Facebook, I guess. But it will also be available on Spreaker pretty much instantly. But then very soon it will be available on iTunes and Google Podcasts and Spotify and all these other places. And so hopefully by the time this is actually logged onto all of those different things, we might have done another episode for you guys. Did we choose where we're going to speak about next time, or shall we confer secretly?
I think confer secretly, because I think you're going to disagree with whatever I suggest. So I think
you're just going to say New Zealand, aren't you?
No, I was going to go for either Japan or one of the America trips.
I'd love that. Okay, so we'll come back with either Japan or one of the America trips, and we're going to tell you some trivia about those places, along with what our favourite sites, our favourite foods were there, probably a couple of anecdotes, and we'll do some stuff that's like giving travel tips as well. That seems a good idea for one of these podcasts, doesn't it?
Yeah, do you want to stop just thinking out loud and end the podcast?
Okay, so this is no, it's not. This is Jet Lagged and Loving It podcast. By all means, check out the Jet Lagged and Loving It travel vlog series on YouTube or on Facebook by going to the Extreme Improv pages. So that's youtube.com/Extreme Improv, facebook.com/Extreme Improv. This is the Jet Lagged and Loving It podcast, which will be available on all those platforms, Spotify and iTunes that I mentioned a moment ago. My name is David Pustansky. Your name is Rachel Jayne. And do you want to say any final pluggy bit at the end?
Follow Extreme Improv.
There we go. Until next time, stay jet lagged and loving it. Bye.